Hi guys, Olive here today to tell you what 12 classic books I intend to read in 2020. This will be the fourth year that I'm making a list like this for myself. It has worked really well for me in prior years. Just putting together the list makes me super excited about reading the classics, and then having this list to come back to throughout the course of the year helps keep me focused. It helps hold myself accountable in reading those books that I made a priority before the year even started. So let me show you which classic books are going to be priority reading for me in the new year. First and foremost, I would really like to read Shirley by Charlotte Bronte. It has been a long-term goal of mine to read through all of the Bronte novels, and now as I approach the end of that project, I am choosing to pick up one of Charlotte Bronte's more obscure novels that she wrote in between Jane Eyre and Villette. The book has two contrasting heroines. One is shy and lives in the oppressive atmosphere of a rectory, and the other is a vivacious heiress whose money gives her a large amount of freedom. I have yet to read something from Charlotte Bronte that I do not like. Villette is one of those books that I just cannot get out of my head, and Jane Eyre, of course, is an all-time favorite. So, needless to say, I am very excited about this one. I also really want to get to The Custom of the Country by Edith Wharton. Edith Wharton was one of the authors that I knew needed to have a book on this list, mainly because of how much I loved The House of Mirth. I made a whole in-depth character analysis on Lily Bard here on this channel. I thought the entire thing was genius. Since then, I have been itching to pick up another Edith Wharton novel, and in her typical style, this one follows the exploits of an entitled, social climbing heroine. If I like it even half as much as The House of Mirth, I will be extremely pleased. Beginning last year, I've started including a work of classic nonfiction on these lists so that I can continue my classics reading during Nonfiction November, since I only read nonfiction during Nonfiction November, and this year the pick is A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. This is Virginia Woolf's beloved extended essay about how women need their own money and their own space in order to be able to create. In this book, she imagines that William Shakespeare had a sister with equally as much talent as her brother, and she uses that thought experiment to really make you wonder how much work this world has missed out on because women did not have the freedom or the resources to create it. Another one that I'll be taking on in 2020 is The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas. This is one of those books that is so culturally iconic. I know so much about it, and it feels so familiar that it feels like I've read it, but I know I haven't read it. This is the story of three inseparable friends, and from what I hear about this book, it sounds like they're a whole lot less moral than any adaptation portrays them as. It sounds like they're really violent in the book, actually. But in any event, I am excited to finally read this book. Next is one that I have been highly anticipating. That is Silas Marner by George Eliot. I loved Middlemarch last year, and although I didn't love my George Eliot pick for this year, Daniel Deronda, I am crossing my fingers that that was just a dud. This book is all about a man who is exiled from a religious community after he is falsely accused of theft, and he ends up adopting a young orphaned girl, which, as you would expect, changes his life entirely. From what I read about this book, it seems like it's going to have a lot of the rural charm that I adored about Middlemarch, so I am optimistic about this one. One that I cannot believe I have not read yet is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I was assigned to read portions of this book for a college class, so I have read pieces of it, but I have never read through the entire thing. Shameful. This book is all about a scientist who assembles a human out of collected body parts, brings it to life, and then has regrets. I am fascinated by Mary Shelley. I am really glad that I'm finally making this book a priority. It is also about time that I read Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. This is the tale of a man who is on an adventure to find buried treasure. Apparently, this is the book that started all of those stereotypical pirate things that we associate so closely with them now. It will be really interesting to read the book that started it all. I'm also finally going to read Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens. I've not read a ton of Dickens, although I kind of want to, because the story setup of Great Expectations remains one of my all-time favorite things in literature. Miss Havisham? I mean, come on. This is basically the story of an orphaned boy who deals with adversity over and over again. Definitely very bleak. You can see why grim urban tales are referred to as Dickensian. But I do really want to keep reading more Dickens. I think this one will be a good one for the colder months. A more lively classic that I plan to pick up in 2020 is A Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. I have been so amped to pick up one of his books ever since I bought that really huge collection of these Reader's Digest editions. I think there were 3 of his books within that larger haul, but I thought I would start with this one, an adventure tale in which a team of scientists attempt to make their way to the core of the Earth. I think it sounds like so much fun. A more modern classic that I'll be picking up is Picnic at Hanging Rock by Joan Lindsay. This book was published in the 60s and it takes place at a girls' boarding school in Australia. The entire school has an outing to this rock formation called Hanging Rock. They have a picnic there, but one group of girls goes missing, and the rest of this book is about the mystery of what happened to them. I actually couldn't help myself. I've already watched the Amazon miniseries adaptation of this, but rather than squashing my desire to read the book, it actually has made me all the more interested to read the book and compare it against the series. The series was fantastic, so I'm really hoping the book is too. Only 2 left on the list. Next up is Mary Barton by Elizabeth Gaskell. Elizabeth Gaskell wrote North and South and Wives and Daughters, my 2 all-time favorite classic books. So to say that I am excited to read this would be an understatement. In determining which Elizabeth Gaskell book I should read next, I specifically consulted a Kate Howell video from Victober last year, where she talks about all of Elizabeth Gaskell's novels and ranks them from her least favorite to her most favorite. And this book came in 3rd, only after Wives and Daughters and North and South. Kate is the person who got me into Elizabeth Gaskell in the first place, so I entirely trust her recommendation of this book, which is actually based on the real murder of a progressive mill owner. And then lastly, wish me luck, because I'm going to attempt to get through the enormous novel that is The Tale of Genji by Murasaki Shikibu. This is widely considered to be the first ever novel. It was written by a woman in 11th century Japan, and it is both a romance and a tale of court life. I have heard amazing things about this one, but also every single edition I have looked at is over 1,000 pages. So I'm definitely going to have to carve out time in my schedule to take this one on. I certainly hope it's worth it. So those are the 12 classics that I am hoping to take on in 2020. If you've read any of these books, please let me know what you thought of them down in the comment section below. Let me know what I'm in for. But if you have any other comments or questions about anything you've seen in this video or about anything in general, you can also put that in the comment section below. Or if you'd prefer to find me somewhere other than YouTube, I am on a variety of different places on social media, and the links to all of my profiles are in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.